Doing an audio test, 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 test.
Test, test. Oh, maybe it does work.
I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I think I'm silenced. All right, 6:01 p.m. One brief tech moment. No, I'm silenced. Yeah, I don't know. Do we know why? Is it this one? It was on. Turn that off. Test, test. Test, test. Okay, wonderful. Michael, thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you for the slight technology delay, everybody. It's nice to see everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Called the meeting to order a few moments ago. Sorry about the delay there. So we're going to go ahead and do a call to order and roll call vote. And I was hoping Miss Rabine, you would call for attendance, please.
Okay, happy to call the roll. Anderson,
Present.
Becerra,
Present.
Carlino,
Present.
Contos,
Here.
Farmer,
Present.
Jones,
Present.
Jordan,
Present.
Nugent,
Present.
Savage,
Present.
Cheryl,
Present.
Basika,
Present.
West.
Present.
Okay, Mayor Davis, all council members are present.
Thank you, Ms. Rabine. All right. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is approval of the minutes. Note in the council packet that we have minutes from October 4th and November 13th. And asking if there are any additions to or corrections to either of the minutes. Okay. Not seeing any, then those minutes are approved as submitted. Thank you. Item number 3, public comment for non-agenda items. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda this evening. These comments are limited to 3 minutes, and I would ask commenters to please say and spell your name for the transcriptionist. Please also bear with me. This is my first council meeting that I am leading, and I appreciate your civility and I appreciate your good humor as we work through this. All right. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to give public comment, please? Oh, pardon me. Thank you.
And
do.
yeah, I have been predisposed with life stuff and yeah, things over the last couple of weeks. So I haven't been here to take part in some of our council meetings, but in light of happenings going on and what I have heard in the mix, I would like to not only congratulate you, Andrea, for being up there and sticking with it and making that happen. I'm really proud of you. And I'm really happy for the city. I think that there's some sincerely great possibilities with this. And also, I want to say how much it rings in my head that when this decision comes to a head and it heads to court, it's a Ninth Circuit decision, whatever it becomes, that preferentia isn't going to be a thing when we can't even allow all of our counselors to attend all of our meetings. I was aghast at that news. And genuinely embarrassed by it. I don't know why it does any good to any ward to have half their representation excluded. And if we're going to show preferentia against our own city councilors, I think it's going to be really easy to show preferentia against those of us that have been battling this from the street. Thank you all very much for listening. The end of that pledge really hit me with the for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Anybody else for public comment this evening? Yes.
By the Johnson Center. And I want to echo what Clay was talking about. Last time I was here, a counselor was presenting findings of a lot of counselors that did not include all the counselors discussing the proposed ordinance that would to do with camping and yeah, it's kind of upsetting to hear that that goes on within city government where a group of them will exclude somebody who has a different point of view and tries to make an ordinance that affects a lot of people who are excluded. Leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And I hope that going forward, this council can be more inclusive of all its members and all the perspectives of people within this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Any other public comment in the room tonight? Okay, not seeing any public comment in the room. Ms. Rabine, do we have any public comment online?
We don't have any hands raised online. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and this will go ahead and conclude the public comment of non-agenda items. And we'll move on to number 4, which is announcing committee meetings, committee membership, and changes to committee agendas. So I'll go ahead and ask Ms. Rabine to read the committee schedule, please.
Council members, we have had a late breaking change to committee schedule. So just an FYI, the committee of the whole is not going to be meeting this coming week. And so Budget and Finance Committee will be leading off committees this week, Wednesday, November 29th. Committee meetings are held in person here at 140 West Pine Street in City Council chambers or virtually online via Teams. Go to our website, click the meetings button, and that'll take you to the portal for all of the city's public meetings, which you can join online or in person. The information to join each meeting is on the top of the agenda. So this week, Wednesday, the Budget and Finance Committee will meet the 29th from 10 in the morning to 10:10, and they will be discussing the City Council meeting schedule for next year, 2024. The Public Works and Mobility Committee will follow. They are taking from 10:20 until 12:05. They'll be taking up 4 items. The first is a transportation options action plan. The second is an ordinance amending the Keep Missoula Weird ordinance to remove Missoula Municipal Code Chapter 9.32 entitled Sound Devices. The third item is a resolution amending the Missoula City Cemetery fees to be effective on January 1st of 2024. And the fourth item is a travel demand model professional services agreement from our transportation folks. The Land Use and Planning Committee will follow in the afternoon on this Wednesday from 1 o'clock to 2:30. They'll be hearing an update from the city's consultant on our Missoula growth policy. That'll be an update on that project as well as the code reform project. The Climate Conservation and Parks Committee will meet from 2:40 to 3:25. They'll be taking up the Marshall Mountain Park interlocal agreement. And finally, Public Safety, Health and Operations Committee will round out the day from 3:35 to 4 o'clock. And they will be taking up the Johnson Street Shelter Sanitary Facilities contract. And that is our committee schedule this Wednesday.
Thank you, Ms. Rabine. Are there any other changes or suggestions from council members? Okay, great. Seeing none. Those committees are all scheduled up. Thank you. We'll move on then to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda were approved in city council committees to be placed on the consent agenda to save time at council meetings by voting on them as a package. The city clerk will read the list aloud so citizens watching on MCAT will know what is on the consent agenda. We'll invite community comment on these items before we vote. Ms. Rabine?
Thanks. Just a second here. I'll navigate over to the agenda so folks can follow along. I'll share it on screen. You can check my homework, make sure I'm saying things right, get the right dollar amounts, all that good stuff. It's also sometimes nice to read something instead of just listening to me drone. Here we go. Tonight's consent agenda does have 13 items. The first is to ratify accounts payable, which are claims for checks dated November 21st of 2023 in the amount of $1,820,452.90. Folks, council is ratifying those checks because council did not meet last week. Item number 2 is to approve accounts payable for checks that are dated tomorrow, November 28th, 2023, in the amount of $1,406,732.26. Number 3 is to confirm the mayor's appointment of Tim Geisler and Kevin Pollington to the Tourism Business Improvement District. Tim Geisler's appointment will begin immediately and expire on December 1st of 2025. And Kevin Pollington's term begins immediately and expires on December 1st of 2024. I have a question about number 4. It says that you're adopting the resolution for the first quarter fiscal year budget amendments to the annual appropriations, but I believe what council is actually doing tonight is you're supposed to set a public hearing on that matter. And I think you're supposed to set a hearing on that matter for December 11th. So we do not have the corrected motion on tonight's agenda. So without objection to council, that action tonight will be to schedule the public hearing on the resolution for the first quarter budget amendments for fiscal year 24. This is amendment to the city's annual appropriations. Number 5 is to set a public hearing from Monday, December 11th, 2023 to provide the public with an opportunity to comment on the development of the 2024 through 2028 5-year consolidated plan and equity plan for the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development Programs. Number 6 is to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the Caras Park Management Agreement between the City of Missoula and Missoula Downtown Association for management of the Caras Park Pavilion and Events Ring. Number 7 is to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a 5-year collective bargaining agreement with the Teamsters Local Number 2 Garden City Compost Union. Number 8 is to confirm the mayor's appointment of Olivia DeJohn and James Crosby to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board for terms that begin immediately and expire on September 30th of 2026. Number 9 is to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the real estate exchange between the City of Missoula and Klaus Property LLC. Number 10 is to adopt a resolution to order right-of-way improvements for project number 20-064. This is for the Ivy Franklin Phase 1 from South 4th Street West to Woodford Street. And number 11 is the first reading and preliminary adoption of an ordinance. Tonight, council is setting a public hearing on December 11th of 2023 and preliminarily adopting an ordinance rezoning the subject property located at 550 North California Street and legally described as Lot 2 of Eagle Watch Estates located on Section 21, Township 13 North, Range 19 West. It says there's 37,251 square feet. And PMM stands for Principal Meridian, Montana, from PUD, which is Planned Unit Development Missoula Youth Homes, to C1-3, which is a Neighborhood Commercial District DE-D Design Excellence Downtown Gateway Overlay. Based on the findings of fact in a staff report and referring this item to the Land Use and Planning Committee for presentation on January 25th following the hearing. Number 12 is the first reading and preliminary adoption of an ordinance. Tonight, folks, City Council is setting a public hearing on December 11th, 2023 and preliminarily adopting an ordinance to rezone property located at 2145 West Sussex Avenue and legally described as lots 13 through 16 of block 28 of the Carline Edition, located in section 29, Township 13 North, Range 19 West, Principal Meridian, Montana, from RM 2.7 residential, which is a multi-dwelling zoning district, to RM 1-45, which is a different residential multi-dwelling district. After the hearing, this item will be referred to the Land Use and Planning Committee for presentation and discussion on December 13th. And finally, number 13 is to adopt a resolution of intention to annex and incorporate within the boundaries of the city of Missoula, lots 1 through 10 of the Burns Edition, section 30, Township 13 North, Range 19 West, Principal Meridian, Montana, Missoula County, Montana, and zone the property RT 5.4 residential, subject to the conditions of annexation, based on the findings of fact in the staff report, setting the public hearing for December 4th, and referring this matter to the Land Use and Planning Committee on December 6th of 2023.
Great, thank you, Ms. Rabine. I wanted to, before taking public comment, wanted to clarify, and Ms. Rabine, please correct me if I am mistaken, that item 5.4 will come off of the consent agenda, which is the fiscal year 2024 budget first quarter amendments, because we need to send that to a December 11th public hearing. Is that correct?
I think tonight, what happened Monday or Friday when we reviewed the agenda, we had both motions on the agenda and our direction to staff was to remove one of them and they removed the wrong one. So if the council doesn't object, the action tonight is to actually set a public hearing for December 11th on this resolution for the first quarter budget amendments. Lee Griffin is planning to be here to give a staff report that evening. So the council doesn't object, we could do that.
Are there any objections to changing that motion? Okay, great. Seeing none, that will be the motion that is included then on the consent agenda, which again is setting a public hearing for December 11th on the first quarter fiscal year 2024 amendments to the annual appropriations. Okay, so thank you for that clarification. Now we'll move on to public comment on items on the consent agenda. Come on up.
Kathleen Kimball from Ward 3.
Thank you. And Kathleen, if you could just pull that microphone to you a little bit so we can make sure we can hear you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And please spell your last name if you would.
Oh, Kimble.
Thank you.
And Kathleen with a K. So I sent you all, mayor and council, an email and then just a follow-up reminder today that what I'm requesting is that the Ivy Franklin Greenways project, as it's known, could be pulled from the consent agenda and considered separately, preferably voted to postpone this project altogether for now. And the reason I'm asking it, I mean, obviously, a lot of people have weighed in on the personal costs and devastating burden it'll be to them as homeowners. But the bigger overarching issue, in addition to that, which is going to severely affect me, but the big issue is this the crisis priority that everybody, both on council, incumbent candidates, all the mayoral candidates, our new mayor, everybody has said the top crisis priority is affordable housing. And I just can't see, right now I'm in affordable housing because I'm in the house that I kind of own, the bank and me. Obviously taxing people out of their homes is not a good thing to do. But I should have stayed focused. My focus is use the money that would have been used for this project on rental assistance, tax breaks for seniors on fixed income, others with similar low income circumstances, building or somehow creating through other actions affordable housing. I just see affordable housing at such a crisis level. When I got the letter that said, and we're going to bring a greenway to the Ivy Franklin area, I thought, that's insane. At this particular time, it's not the top crisis priority. So I'm asking that be removed from the consent agenda so that the full council could weigh in individually on that one issue, preferably to vote to postpone it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kimball. Anybody else for public comment? Items on the consent agenda, public comment on the consent agenda. Come on up. Take your time. That's all right.
Right, our eyes are terrible. William Fleischman, 701 Edith Street.
Thank you, Mr. Fleischman. And Mr. Fleischman, would you spell your last name for the record, please?
FLEISCHMAN.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
And don't hesitate to eat that microphone. We want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Congrats to our new mayor, city council members. I know you guys work really hard. When I was first here, John was here and he pulled the plug on this when it was 34,000 to us in this project on Ivy and Franklin. Thank God. It's now 9,000. Our retirement savings is dissolving like sugar in the rain, especially with the help of Republicans in Helena. Our property taxes went way up. I've talked to people online that tell me they will never vote for another tax ever again. So the Republicans got their way. They have people in their pocket now because they convinced them by this subterfuge of a property tax that local government is bad. It's not bad. Local government does good things. It's the Republicans in Helena that are bad, and they have bad plans. Anyway, I'm going to just read this and then hopefully it'll do something. With winter bearing down and affordable housing in Missoula still unattainable for many young working families that businesses desperately need. We used to own a business. It's not easy hiring good people. It's not easy hiring good people when they can't live in secure housing. No matter how much you pay them, they can't keep up. Housing should be our only priority. Please consider a motion to pause the Franklin Ivy Street Greenway Improvement Project and move those funds to support attainable housing instead. We have fresh eyes on our Missoula government right now. I'd like to see action towards housing. People are hungry for action. We get a lot of subterfuge from Helena, but no action. Tree-lined boulevards and sidewalks are nice, but the housing insecure can't live on sidewalks or in trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fleischman. Are there any other public comments on items on the consent agenda tonight? Ms. Rabine, online?
We have 3 comments online. The first person is Mike Bader. Mr. Bader, can you unmute and give us your comments? I might need to make you a presenter. Let me do that. Mr. Bader, you should be able to unmute on your end. There's a mic button, and if you press that on your computer, you should be able to speak now. Hello?
Mr. Bader, I still see your microphone is muted. Not sure if you're able to unmute on your end. Okay, maybe we'll go ahead and give that a pause then for the time being, Ms. Rabine, and see if we'll take some more public comment, and maybe by then Mr. Bader will be able to unmute.
The other thing I thought of is I will share on the screen, Mr. Bader, the phone number that you can call in via the telephone and the phone conference ID. And usually if the computer is not cooperating, the phone works. So I'll share that here.
Perfect. Thank you. For anybody online that wishes to make a phone call, the number is being highlighted on the screen. That number is 406-384-6960. And the conference ID is 239-973-987, and then press pound.
Okay, and we have another commenter, Diana Bublitz. So I will make her presenter.
Hi, yeah, you can hear me?
We can, thank you.
Great. Yeah, so I'm Deanna Bublitz. I first wanted to thank council members Carlino and Gwen Jones for answering my emails and talking to Brant about some of the technical issues with the Ivy Street 4th, 5th project that other folks have spoke on. And I guess I want to say I agree with the calls to pause and redirect those city funds to more pressing needs like affordable housing. I do want to make it clear that I'm not opposed to the city improving mobility access, but like all the other people that have spoken, it was a real shock, a pretty depressing shock to get a suggested bill of nearly $3,000 sort of out of the blue on top of property taxes that are going way up. And ultimately, my feeling is just not that the project is bad, but that the way it's funded is bad. And I know that we've had this conversation before, but offering financing options doesn't make that bill go away. And sidewalks are city infrastructure for the public good. And so it should be paid for with public funds like property taxes and not shouldered by the adjacent property owners. I think that's all I really had to say. So thank you for your attention. And I would just urge you to pause on this project and reconsider how the funds could be put to better use.
Thank you, Ms. Bublitz. Ms. Rabine, are there others online?
Yes, Matt Larson is next. Mr. Larson, I'll make you a presenter and you can go ahead and unmute and speak.
Hi, yes, this is Matt Larson, Ward 3. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I'd also like to echo the comments about the Greenway. I just don't think that it's a huge priority right now, and I do think that it could be reevaluated by sending it back to a committee. And then I'd also like to talk about the Klaus Poplar Exchange. There's very little information about the relative values of these plots of land in any of the attachments. And I wanted to know what the appraised values were for the pieces of land that were going to be exchanged from the city to the Klaus family. I'd also like to know more about the Sussex development. I believe it's item 12. It seems to be that there's about 45 units that are going to be put into a single family residential housing area. And it just seems like a lot of units in that area. Um, but yeah, those are the two main points. Were the Greenway, I think we should pause, and I think we should look into the Klaus Poplar exchange more as well, possibly send that back to committee and see what like more information we can find out about the deal, and whether that's a priority to fund right now too. Um, I don't think it is, but I think if we do this deal right now, it kind of locks us into paying, $100,000 a year for sprinkler maintenance and some of these other attributed costs that the city isn't really listing right now on the agenda. It's just the property deal, but we're not privy to how much that parcel is worth. We just know that they're similar in value. So I'd like to know how much that parcel is worth. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Larson. Mr. Rabun, anybody else online?
We have a caller on the line. So caller with the last number let's say last three digits of 835. I think you can press star, is it star 5 or star 6 to unmute?
Star 6. Star 6.
Star 6. Caller last four numbers, or last three numbers, 835. Press star 6 on your phone in order to unmute. I see we've got hand got raised.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Well, thanks. Sorry for all the technical glitches. I first wanted to congratulate Mayor Davis. We met in front of my house on this very issue of the Ivy Franklin project. And I want to echo what some of the other folks have said. I think that there's a couple of issues here. One is the design itself, and the other is the expense to the residential homeowners. And I think a better formula can be come up with to accommodate that, because I just got a 28% increase on my property taxes, and it just doesn't really end. So I think sidewalks and curbs are really good. They really improve neighborhoods, and I'm supportive of that. But the hardship on individual homeowners is pretty steep. Mine is $6,400, so I'm 65, and that it's kind of a tough pill. So appreciate the sticking with me here and listening, and thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bader. Glad you got through. Ms. Rabun, anybody else online? Or on the phone?
That is all of the raised hands in the virtual audience.
Excellent. All right. Glad we could get everybody through there. All right. It looks like it concludes the public comment for the consent agenda. Next, I'll go ahead and ask if there are any council people that would like to either separate an agenda item from the consent agenda or abstain from voting this evening. Ms. Pasinka.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to separate 5.10 of the IV resolution and speak to that when that is appropriate.
Okay, separate the vote from the consent agenda. Any other agenda items to separate from the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Rabine, we'll go ahead and we'll take a roll call vote then on items 5.1 through 5.9 on the agenda, and then 5.11 through 5.13.
Pardon me, may I speak to why I'm
Oh,
separating it
absolutely,
before?
I'm
Okay. Okay, so I did speak about this during the committee meetings last week, and that's the Ivy Franklin sidewalk improvements, and I have always been pro sidewalk. However, last week, or I guess not last week, 2 weeks ago, I did mention how people staying in their homes is way more important to me than having sidewalks available. And with just the comments that were this evening talking about how frustrating and concerning it is for them to stay in their homes, just looking at one property that is owing $9,000 for this improvement on top of their regular taxes. I just looked at that actual property taxes, and from 2018 to 2023, it went up 54%. That is insane. That is a $411 a month payment. That's a car payment. And these are people on actual fixed incomes. These are people that work their entire lives to live in their home. And now, because the city forcibly takes their tax dollars and spends it however we wish, they might have to sell their home. And I do not appreciate that. I do not agree with it. And therefore, I will be voting no on this.
Thank you, Ms. Masika, and I'm sorry I went ahead without your comment there. Thanks for your patience. Appreciate it. Ms. Anderson.
Thanks so much, Madam Mayor. I will be supporting this. We've had multiple conversations on council over the course of my tenure about the sidewalk program. And I think that we have really highlighted the fact that we have been addressing some of the concerns brought up, because 10 years ago, it was a very different formula that put much more onus on the homeowner. In, many cases, the homeowners were responsible for 100% of the improvements. And now we have gotten to the point where there is a formula that caps out at $9,000. And with even understanding that for many, that is a bill that you wouldn't be able to come up with the money. We have put in financing options where you can just, low to zero interest over the course of many years, or you can defer payment completely until the sale of your home. So there are many options that we are putting in place to address some of the concerns that have been addressed over the time of kind of working with this formula. And we do acknowledge that we have a housing crisis, but I think that we also need the infrastructure in place. And these things are not one or the other. We can do both at the same time. And, the city is not in the position to be able to give tax rebates to people who are low income. That comes from the state. That is not in our even, ability to do so. But we can help make sure that there's infrastructure and connectivity for, all of those folks in our community, of people who are mobility impaired, and there's a safety concern with all of it. And one of the key tenets for a city government is the health and safety of the individuals who live and reside here, and sidewalks have been proven time and time again to be, a safety feature for community. Yes, then there is the arguments of, the safety components of those who are unsheltered and unhoused. But we are also dealing with all of those at the same time. So I think this is an example of walking and chewing gum at the same time. So I will be in supportive of this and realize that there's a lot of work that has gone to get us to this point. So thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Carlino, we got a couple people online and then we'll come back to the room.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate everybody speaking to the city council about this issue. It's something I've heard quite a bit about this project over the last year and a half, and I appreciate staff working with some of the neighbors on the specifics of the design. But I think everybody who came and spoke in favor of a pause or against the project, I think all their concerns are completely legitimate. This is quite a big cost to put on homeowners who just happen to be adjacent to where the city sidewalk is going to be built. And I would be open to pausing it until we figure out a funding formula, but if there's support on council for that. But I think it's really important that we keep building out our sidewalks and bike lanes around town, et cetera. So I do want to also mention that 3 of us on city council have a resolution that we've been working on coming up soon to have the city cover the full costs of these in the future and not stick homeowners with a $9,000 cost. So I just hope that we can keep the debate up about this issue, and I appreciate everybody speaking to us about how this would affect you personally and coming up with some solutions for us to chew on. So thanks everybody for coming out on this.
Thanks, Mr. Carlino. Mr. Contos, you're next.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the fact that we can make our city look well, better, improvements. Those are always nice. I think the timing is what the problem is here. It's not so much coming up with a finance problem, although I'm not in favor of that as well either. I think the city should be responsible for sidewalks and things like that. But it's the timing, and for these people to come forward and say, it's the timing, and I want you to kill it, but the timing is not the best. And the rates that things are going up right now are completely insane. I'm a carpet cleaner. I go into lots of people's homes. The reason why they're leaving is the rent went way up or the house got sold out from underneath them. This is very real. So for someone to get tagged with a $3,000, $9,000 bill plus the taxes and everything else, it's just not the right time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Contos. Cheryl, you're next.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate everyone coming out, and I think sidewalks are a really hard discussion topic because while we have improved our program over the years, it is still a big burden on homeowners. So I definitely hear what people have said. I do want to just kind of, because there's a lot of conversation around don't do this and do something else. Money is not that fungible. So I just want to make it clear for the record that of the assessment component, 16% is going to let's see, 16% is of something. But anyway, 84% of the construction costs will be paid by the city's road district and Barca gas tax funds. Those have really specific things that we can use to fund those. So I always struggle with the sidewalk program because I know we need to build out sidewalks. I know it is an equity issue. As I have said many times, I have a mother in a wheelchair. It is very, very hard to get her around if we don't have sidewalks. I like the greenways, but I really just want to kind of make it clear that we can't just move money from a sidewalk project to an affordable housing project. And that is the case in so many things that we do up here.
Thank you, Ms. Cheryl. Ms. Masika, you're next.
Just a very quick rebuttal, I guess. It's not a good time for sidewalks are great. Everybody wants sidewalks. We always would love have sidewalks. However, like some of my colleagues have mentioned, this isn't a huge, we have a housing crisis. We have a property tax crisis. Just because it's a better programming that now only people owe $9,000 instead of what the full cost, that just because it's better doesn't mean it's good. And this is terrible for people because $9,000 is $24 a day. So if anybody wants to donate to these people that are affected $24 a day, I'm sure that they would really appreciate it. And sidewalks are in purgatory. I always say that because The property owner is responsible for them, yet they do not own them. If you do not shovel them, then you are in trouble. However, you cannot place anything on them. And it's a really frustrating concept, the sidewalk program in Missoula. And I'm really looking forward to having some sidewalk reform, which my colleague, Mr. Carlino, was talking about earlier. And we are stewards of dollars. And like I've mentioned many times before, that it does not take the government to forcibly take money to donate to a good cause. So like I said earlier, if you want to donate $24 a day to any of these people that are forcibly spending $9,000 on the sidewalk program, please feel free to do so.
Ms. Vasika. Ms. Jones.
Thanks. Since we're all speaking to this now, I'll just say my comments also, nothing like the consent agenda to work through something. I do appreciate folks coming in tonight, and a lot of time and effort has been spent on the sidewalk program for the last 10 to 12 years. Before that, residents exclusively paid for their sidewalks that had to go in. When there's new development in Missoula, sidewalks are required. And up until 10, 12 years ago, when Marilyn Marler took this project on, it was still 100% homeowners financed all of the sidewalks that were put in if that infrastructure had not previously been put in and the sidewalk program came into that neighborhood. So Marilyn Marler started to create a funding formula where we started to supplement that with money from the general fund and other sources. And that has been revised several times in the last 10 years to get to the point where we're at now. There were some really high numbers that came in on this project about 3 years ago. And you're right, Mayor Engen hit pause, stopped it, and staff spent about a year really reworking the entire sidewalk formula to come up with something that we thought would get us more infrastructure built in a more efficient way while having a big subsidy for homeowners getting those sidewalks in, so that it would be a more reasonable number that they had to foot the bill on. So that's the history on all of this. And there are numerous funding options to spread that out over time, trying to work with everybody. I agree the timing is bad. Our property tax bills this year, it's a really difficult situation, but I really don't see how it's going to be getting better in the near future or in the far future. Unless we find a whole pot of money that we can put towards sidewalks, which I don't think we're going to be doing. We still want to have some level of funding formula to get more infrastructure put in. And I also want to reframe this. We used to do whole areas trying to get sidewalks put in. Now, because we have limited funds and limited resources, we focus on greenways, meaning we figure out where are most people going to be traveling? What are the destinations? What are the best corridors? And that's a greenway. So we try and funnel people to those. So a lot of this goes into analysis of where schools are and how kids get to and from schools. So it's actually really important having sidewalks in for all sorts of safety reasons. And this is a main corridor that funnels to Paxson and Washington Middle School. So it's really important. I also just want to point out that I know staff has spent months working with many of the homeowners on design modifications to accommodate their opinions on how to put this in. So I wanted to just say thank you to staff. I know this is a big project. A ton of work has gone into it, and it's queued up. It's ready to go. We've modified the funding formula as much as possible to make it more workable for the residents. But there are a lot of folks in Missoula who paid 100% for their sidewalks. So this is a much better situation than in those days. So I'm going to vote yes for it. And if there's any great ideas in the future on how we can get as much sidewalk infrastructure in, and where that money will come from, I'm happy to have that conversation and look into that. But this is as far as we've gotten it, and I'm voting yes on this tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Ms. Jordan.
Thank you. Yeah, we are kind of all taking some time to have a comment on this, even though we did talk about it a lot last Wednesday or the Wednesday we met. And I think the reason why we do all have comments is because there are still kind of a lot of unanswered questions, and we perhaps maybe didn't engage the neighbors as much as we could have in getting their opinions on how this is going to affect them. I really do want to pay homage to the work that's been done up to this point to reduce the burden on taxpayers, because a lot of work has been done. Paying 100% was very unaffordable for residents, and yes, Marilyn Marler did amazing work to get it to where it is now. And I would like to just put a pin in that there's always room for improvement. And simply because we've worked a lot to get it to a certain point doesn't mean that we stop working on it. I would definitely like to get to a point where we could pay for this out of general tax dollars. I'm not sure where it would come from, and I think that's the main problem, because these are city assets. And we did have the conversation that perhaps individual sidewalks in front of homes doesn't necessarily improve the value of a home specifically, but it does improve the value of an entire neighborhood. I would push back also a little bit on the claim that this is a major walkway for school kids. It simply isn't. School kids do not use Franklin Road to get to school because there's no lights to get them across major roads. And so they actually walk over to other streets to use the lights to get across Brooks and other major roads. So this is definitely not a walkway for school children, and it doesn't need to have that priority placed on it for that reason. I do struggle with this. I have been working with some residents in Ward 3 as well who are who feel who are struggling with the placement and the requirement to have boulevards when they're surrounded by curbside. But I will save that conversation for a different time. Looking forward to working with my colleagues and with Public Works to address the code so that the code will be more fluid and consider context for these older neighborhoods that already have a lot of curbside sidewalks, so that we're not zigzagging to put in boulevards and encroach on people's really small front yards and setbacks for these older homes. But this is a contentious one, and we're all having comment on it because it is contentious, and thankfully we have the time to do that. And I'm going to vote yes on this. I'm going to work really hard with my colleagues who are bringing forward the proposal to find different funding sources, because I think that's really important. But I don't think that quashing this particular project right now in lieu of that is the right decision for me. But I also really want to put a pin in, which is the second time I've said this, that we need to adjust the code. The code is not consider context. It does not consider the context of these older neighborhoods. This project is potentially not considering the nuance of the neighborhood. It's an older neighborhood, but I'm not going to vote no on it because of that. I'm going to work with all y'all to change the code so that we can get some of these sidewalks put in different places. But thanks for everybody's comments.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Any other council comments? Hey, thank you for a robust comment session. I think what we'll do then, Ms. Rabine, if I am not mistaken, is go back to 2 separated votes. We'll start with the consent agenda for the main consent agenda. Please interrupt me if I'm wrong.
You're correct.
Awesome. Great. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with a vote for consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.9, and then 5.11 to 5.13. Ms. Rabine, when you're ready.
On the consent agenda, Becerra,
Yes.
Carlino,
Yes.
Contos,
Yes.
Farmer,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Nugent,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Vasika,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
and Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor Davis, that's 12 ayes and nobody's absent, so it passes.
Thank you, Ms. Rabine. Next, we'll pick up the vote for item 5.10, which is the resolution to order right-of-way improvements project 20-064, Ivy Franklin I-6 South 4th Street west to Woodford Street. Ms. Rabine?
Okay, item 5.10, Carlino,
Yes.
Contos,
No.
Farmer,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Nugent,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Basika,
No.
West,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
and Becerra.
Yes.
Would any of you like to change your vote? That is 10 ayes and 2 nays.
Thank you, Ms. Raybine. All items on the consent agenda then have been passed to move forward. Thank you again for the public comments and for the council comments this evening. We will move on then from the consent agenda to number 6 on the agenda, which is comments from city staff, city agencies, community forum, neighborhood councils, boards, commissions, or authorities. I don't believe there are any here tonight, but if there are, please go ahead and raise your hand. Come up to the podium. Okay. Not seeing any then, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, which is special presentations and proclamations. We do not have any that I'm aware of this evening. Go ahead and move on to agenda item number 8. Again, this is a final consideration of public hearings. We do not have any in this category. So we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 9. We're just cruising through this. We have 2 public hearings this evening. I'm sorry. Really, no doubt. State law and city council rules set guidelines for inviting community comment in a formal way on certain issues. Following a staff report on each item, the city council and the mayor invite community comment. City council holds a public hearing and then votes the following week unless there is a requirement for final action on the night of the public hearing. So our first item is item 9.1. It's land use and planning and business licensing fee schedules resolution. And Kirsten Hands, I believe, is online and ready to give the staff presentation.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm Kirsten Hands with Community Planning, Development, and Innovation. And tonight I'm going to present on a resolution to adopt changes to our land use and planning and business licensing fee schedules. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So over here. So attached to this item in eScribe is the resolution that reflects updates to the Community Planning, Development, and Innovation, Land Use and Planning, and Business Licensing fee schedules. So there's 2 schedules that are attached to the resolution. These fee schedules were originally presented to the council during the FY24 budget hearings and adopted via resolution 8713. But we found that there were additional amendments that need to be made to these schedules, and they need to be adopted prior to the effective date of January 1, 2024. So the first schedule is the land use and planning fee schedule. The updates that we made to this schedule is the addition of a fee for zoning compliance permits and zoning compliance review taking less than 30 minutes. So planning staff have requested this. We only had 1 fee on the schedule and it was for larger commercial projects. So it was a little bit exorbitant, or I wouldn't say exorbitant, but it was too much money for these shorter reviews. So we wanted to add this fee that's a little bit less money for shorter reviews. We also have a conditional use review fee that is on the schedule. It was in a section for the design review board, which has been eliminated from the schedule. And so we moved it to a more appropriate section of the schedule. The fee hasn't changed itself. And that brings me to the removal of reference to the former design review board. So based on legislation that came out of the last state legislative session, we needed to remove reference to the design review board. So we've gotten that taken care of. There was a section on the schedule for engineering fees. Engineering fees are now in Public Works and Mobility, and they have their own engineering fee schedule. So we removed reference to the engineering fee section, and we have relabeled it the code compliance section, keeping fees that are just related to code compliance. And we also removed the banner sign permit fee. So those are the changes that we made to the land use and planning fee schedule. The other fee schedule that we have attached to this resolution is the business licensing fee schedule. We removed contractor licensing fee per MCA 39-9-304 to align with our general fees. We had a separate contracting licensing fee schedule that was determined to be a discriminatory fee because it was separate from all of the other fees. So based on advice and guidance from the attorney's office, we're removing that contractor licensing fee. We also have an adjustment of veteran and nonprofit organization flat fees to remain unchanged from FY23, and that wasn't clear on the original fee schedule that was moved during the budget session. So our motion for this evening is to set a public, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't update the slide. So the motion for tonight is to adopt a resolution of the Missoula City Council amending Resolution 8713 as follows. Amending the land use and planning fee schedule by removing fees that are now included on a separate engineering fee schedule, removing reference to the former design review board in response to state legislation, and additional changes noted in Exhibit A of the resolution, and amending the business licensing fee schedule as noted on Exhibit B of the resolution effective January 1, 2024. And I do understand that this is required to go to final consideration at the next city council meeting, and I believe that we won't vote on this motion until that meeting. So that is everything I have. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Hans. Great. Go ahead and I believe public comment is before council questions. No, no. Okay, all right, I'm following this list. Okay, all right. Ms. Vasika.
In your defense, I think that changed pretty recently, so.
Oh.
I was just hoping that Kristen could add this slideshow to the council agenda so that I and others can look at it later.
Certainly, I will send that to the finance committee staff.
Thank you.
Changed. Great. Ms. Vasika, thank you for having the correct council code of practice in order there. Sorry about my confusion. Any other council questions? No? All right, now I do believe we can move on to public comment. Any public comment on this public hearing? Wait a second. Anybody online?
We don't have anybody in the virtual room with their hands raised, Mayor Davis.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, no public comment, then we'll go ahead and close this hearing. And this again will be final consideration on the council agenda for December 4th, 2023. Thank you very much, Ms. Hans. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. We'll move on to item 9.2, which is an ordinance revising the city's records and information governance program to modernize the law, conform with recent statutory changes, adopt 2 records retention schedules for the management of city records, and update city law to conform with modern best practices. So I would like to invite City Clerk Marty Rabine for the staff report, please.
Council members, for the record, my name is Marty Rabine. The last name is spelled Rehbein. And I'm your Legislative Services Director and City Clerk, and I will be presenting to you this evening an ordinance that updates the city's records and information governance ordinance. So our current law in Missoula was established 22 years ago when paper, ruled, and digital record systems were on mainframes. Local governments developed their own record retention schedules and sent them to the state for approval. And operational responsibility for program implementation was designated to file clerks and secretaries in departments. Key drivers for the presentation of this ordinance to you this evening is a bill that was passed at the Montana State Legislature. SB 374 was a bill that I asked to be drafted in order to streamline records management for local governments in Montana and enable digital record keeping practices across the state. We also had some changes to Title II that speaks about public records in 2015. And so this ordinance also aims to comply with those requirements. Our office developed a records retention schedule that's organized by function. It was developed for paper and digital records. The former schedule was over 130 pages, and the new schedule boils that down into something that is a lot more readable and understandable and able to be more consistently followed by our staff. We are also asking council, so we're asking council to adopt records retention schedule 8A, which is the function-based records retention schedule for municipalities in Montana. There's also a records retention schedule that's been developed for the retention of email messages, and we're asking you to adopt that since email was not really much of a thing 22 years ago. And then finally, our last key driver is that, you know, in the modern day, most records are born digital and we keep them digitally. And so we need to have a framework from City Council to engage in best practices in managing those digital records and governing our information at the city. So what our ordinance does is it establishes this governance framework for records and information from cradle to grave, with that responsibility set at the highest level in our organization. That is with the mayor, the city clerk, who has responsibility for records in state law, the senior leadership team, and city officers. It adopts 2 records retention schedules and future versions that are promulgated by the State Local Government Record Committee. That's the committee that's charged under state law for establishing retention schedules in Montana. And it requires records disposal to be approved by a city officer once the record has met its retention requirements. And so I've already talked about the schedules. Let's see. And then finally, it enables modern digital records management. It adds the concept of information governance and its application to information systems the city acquires to create, receive, manage, and store information and records. And it positions the city to adapt to emerging technologies and best practices while ensuring our records and information are retained as long as they're required and disposed when the retention period has been met.
Ms. Rabine, hold 1 second. It appears your speakers are going out and we see that you haven't moved, but we're having an audio challenge. I know.
It wouldn't be my last meeting if I didn't have tech problem.
That sounds better. Eric, we okay? Okay. All right, Marty. Thank you. Keep going.
Either can use the microphone from the camera or the little poly that I have here, and usually the camera is better. So hopefully this will not be terrible. I am asking, oh, so this was the firmer. I did the same thing Kirsten did. I didn't update my motion from committee. So tonight I am asking you to do second and final reading on this ordinance and adopt it because it's my last council meeting. I won't be here next week to answer any questions, explain things. Thanks.
Ms. Rabine, thank you very much. And assuming that there are no issues with this being the second reading and final adoption, we'll go ahead and then entertain discussion from council. Both questions and comments are allowed during this period. Ms. Anderson.
My question is for Ms. Rabine. If we don't pass this tonight, does that mean you'll stay until we do pass it?
No.
Okay, thank you for that.
Good question. Good question. Any others for Ms. Rabine? Any comments? Okay. Great. Ms. Jones.
Cheryl, just make a quick comment. First of all, Marty, thank you for all of your work on this ordinance. I think because you have done this for so long, you have a great understanding of what an updated ordinance could do. And I know that you worked with the state legislature last session to make some modifications, so opening the door for this. Anyway, these kind of ordinances are heavy lifts. They're hard work to try and get it right. They're not too exciting, but it makes a huge amount of difference in the long run. So thank you for finishing strong. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Ms. Becerra.
Thank you. I too want to echo my gratitude to Marty for always looking for ways to improve the way we do business here in Missoula and taking this to the legislature and having these results before us to take action. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Wonderful. All right. Not seeing any additional comments or questions from council, we'll go ahead and open up the floor to the public. Is there any public comment on item 9.2 this evening? Is there any online?
We don't have any raised hands in the virtual audience.
Okay. Well, Ms. Raybine, you did such a thorough job. It doesn't seem like anybody has any questions, and I'll take this opportunity to thank you for updating what would certainly take your decades of experience and passion to do. Thank you. Appreciate you leading this for the state. All right. So then that goes ahead. I will go ahead then and close the public hearing. And then I will go ahead and ask the chair of the Public Safety, Health and Operations Committee, Ms. Stacy Anderson, to make the motion, please.
Thank you so much. I would make the recommended motion to adopt and amend the city ordinance chapter 2.92 entitled Records and Information Governance Program to reflect new state laws and regulations relating to records and information management, adopting records retention schedules issued by the state for the use by municipalities to manage records and information, and updating duties and responsibilities of city staff to reflect modern best practices, otherwise known as Marty's Law.
Excellent. Ms. Raybine, would you like to do a roll call vote on this?
I would. I'm so jealous that Mr. Carlino stole the Keep Missoula Weird ordinance. Could have been this one. But. Carlino.
Yes.
Contos.
Yes.
Farmer.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Nugent.
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Cheryl.
Yes.
Basika.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
And Becerra.
Yes.
Would any of you like to change your vote? That's 12 ayes. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, that passes. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate that. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 10, which is committee reports, and we have no committee reports this evening. And so that brings us to new business, and we have no new business this evening. So we'll bring that down to communications from the mayor. I just want to say thank you for bearing with me on my my first council meeting as the presiding officer. Might be some bumps here and there, but you know, it'll get smoother. It'll get smoother. I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Dale Bickle and the council members here for making it a nice soft start. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was very kind. Boy, I have to start out my comments by congratulating Miss Marty Raybine, Legislative Services Director and City Clerk, for 22 years of work that I have done to build affordable homes and bring items in front of this body. I have worked with Miss Raybine. And so this being my first council meeting and her last is, you know, somewhat poetic. And so I just want to wish you the best, Marty. I wish that we would have had a chance to work more closely together in this role, but we're wishing you the very best. The second thing I would like to say is, you know, November is the month that we hold up for gratitude, and I certainly hope that we can do that all 12 months of the year and every day. But it really is something that I have felt nothing but sheer welcome and a sense of camaraderie from members of this council. The staff of the city have been just incredible, and I want to thank all members of the city team in a very warm welcome. And then last, I would just want to close out by saying that November is Native American Heritage Month. We are closing out that month. In my hurried and rushed approach to get over here for my first council meeting, forgot to wear this beautiful piece of art that I'd like to talk about. So I'll save that for another time I have an opportunity to share the story of a Salish Indigenous artist from the Ronan area and the Big Medicine story. So I'll share that for another time. All right, that's all I really have to say for this evening, and would love to turn it over to general comments of city council members. Mr. Nugent, I'd like to start with you.
Good. I almost asked if I could go first. First of all, I want to say congratulations and welcome. I'm looking forward to this kind of new era in Missoula. And I think that as we've talked on council and as we've all kind of gotten individual opportunities to speak with you, I think we're all excited to just roll up our sleeves and have a couple of years of just trying to tackle some of the challenges we all have head on. And I think that Missoula is kind of excited for that as well. And I've said it many times that I look forward to kind of rolling up our sleeves and working on those together. And I generally mean it. I also think that now that I have the microphone and you don't, I want to find a way to turn your face red because you did that to me last week. But you'll find that that's actually very easy to do in this room, more so than I might like to admit. So anyway, I would just kind of echo right back at you the nice things that you said last week. And I genuinely am looking forward to working with you to make Missoula a better place.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nugent. I appreciate that. Ms. West?
I'll pass.
I think we just go around the horseshoe here. Yeah. Everyone to do. Oh, yes. But, all right. Oh, I can do it however I want. All right. We'll stay in the room right now, and then we'll go to folks online. How about that? So, Miss Jordan.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations on your win. I'm super excited to see you in that seat, and I'm excited to work with you. And I'm also really excited to work with our other new colleagues coming on. Had a really great conversation with Eric Melson today. Had a lovely conversation with Bob Campbell, and I'm really excited. Really excited for those of us who are going to stay, and we'll find out what happens with Miss Bisika really soon. And I hope it goes the way you want it to go. So I'm really excited for this new era. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I'll echo what everyone said. Welcome. And that was, I thought this might be a really clunky meeting, and it was pretty streamlined. Like, that's good. I mean, that is something you have to do every week. And it is a small part of what actually goes into mayoring, but it's an important and very public part. So welcome. We're looking forward to, I am looking forward to working with you, and looking forward to just all of us, kind of saying that we're on this path, we're going to work together, and we're going to move the city forward. So I'm happy about that. I also just want to remind everyone that tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. So as you reflect on your holidays and feeling thankful for the friends and the family that you were with or not able to be with, tomorrow is the day to think about those that have less and are in need as we look forward.
Thank you, Cheryl. Ms. Anderson.
Thanks so much, Madam Mayor. And I'm happy to see that our trial run shenanigans were, oh, you guys missed it. A good show. But I look forward to many more productive meetings and maybe a few shenanigans in amongst all of the work that we are going to do together to serve our community that we are also fortunate to call home, and the people who live and work here. I want to say just a couple words about Marty. There are not enough words to say about Marty, but I'll try a couple. She is an institution and a legend and one of the nicest, caring people. I have always said that one of the things that I have been impressed about this job is the caliber of people who choose public service and choose to work for the city of Missoula in service of all of the people of our community, and Marty is like lead cheerleader amongst all of them. She has a big heart, an amazing grasp of institutional knowledge, Masons, she loves all her children equally, as we joke. And just, we are so fortunate that she has put her passion and love of public service and record retention and all the things that come with that into us and our community, and we are better off for her. We are so excited to work with Claire going forward, and as we will not try to hold Mayor Davis to the shoes of Mayor Hess or Mayor Ingen, we will try not to hold Claire to lead cheerleader role of Miss Rabine, but we wish you all just so much fun in your retirement. And I think we all are going to at some point in time make a pilgrimage to Disney World to come and see, the grand tour by the utmost authority on it. So thank you so much for just the years of service and your love for Missoula. And yes, thank you just doesn't seem like enough, but that's going to do it for now.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. All right, Ms. Masika.
Yeah, thank you and welcome. This meeting went very well, so I'm impressed. Usually we have a lot more technical issues than than we did tonight. I did want to say thank you to Marty. I remember when Amber, John, and I were in that van on Fire Hose Learning Day. We went to all the different departments and learned how the city works, and it was a very fun-filled, eventful, so much knowledge. And Marty is just so full of a lot of knowledge, and we are going to miss you. But Claire, you are very intelligent. So I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. I also wanted to, hunting season came to an end for a lot of us, and I hope that a lot of other folks had better luck than I did this year. But I did want to let folks know that apparently there's a huge need for game processors. So if anybody needs a career change, that apparently is a very big need in this community. So if you need a career change, go for it. I also, since I still have this microphone, because I technically, I guess, am in purgatory at the moment, but while I still have my microphone, I did want to reiterate about the whole sidewalk conversation. I should have put that on committee reports, but I did not. But I just want to talk about that a little bit longer. A person told me, and multiple people have told me, but this story really stuck true with me. Half of their Social Security check goes into a savings account to pay for their property taxes. They're on a fixed income, and half of their Social Security check a month goes to pay for property taxes. That does not include gas, groceries, presents for their grandchildren. That is just insane that we are stewards of their dollars and we are just going willy-nilly with them. And now there's an additional $9,000 on top of that they are responsible for. And then if they do not pay that, then they can be evicted from their home. And not evicted, foreclosed on, because they own their home. However, you still have to rent it from the government. And I know that there's a lot of different opinions about that, but that is my opinion on that. And I think that people staying in their home should be a top priority for us around this horseshoe. And I think that we should take that very seriously. And no matter if I keep my seat or not, I really want people to think about that moving forward. Please think about people losing their homes. We do have a houselessness issue. We do have a property tax crisis. Please think about that going into every decision that is made around this horseshoe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masika. Ms. Jones?
Thanks. First of all, I wanted to say welcome, Mayor Davis. And yes, you ran a great meeting. So you over that hurdle. You just are doing a great job, and I'm really excited to have you in office, and welcome. And then I wanted to say thank you, Marty, for all of your years of service. And I will make it brief, but I will just say that in all of my interactions with our city clerk, Marty Rabine, she has always been positive, helpful, energetic, a problem solver. And she remembers everything for the last 30 years and she knows the history, and that has been invaluable. So thank you for how much you have given to this community, Marty. You have made a huge difference, because without the clerk's office functioning well, the rest of the city doesn't function well. So thank you so much for all that you've done.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Mr. Contos.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, congratulations. It's nice to see a pretty face down there. You got a great smile, nice eyes. I like that. And this did go fairly smooth. They don't always, but nice break today. Anyway, I did want to say something about Marty. Thank you so much. 30 years in a position like this. And like Senator Sika said earlier, that van trip, that was something else. I was completely blown away at your knowledge of everything. And you were happy because that's a lot. You have a great attitude towards things. And I just wish you all the best of luck down in Florida. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Contos. Ms. Becerra.
Thank you and welcome. It is really nice to sit at the same table with you again. And this is a month of gratitude. And I just want to say thank you for all your work at Homeward. It is an organization that's dear to me, and it is what it is because of the great leadership that you lent to that organization and the team that you helped put together. So thank you for that. And Marty, thank you so much for 30 some years. That's you must have started working when you were 10. I really appreciate everything that you have done for the city, for Missoula, for the community. Florida will be lucky to have you for a few months a year, but I think Montana will miss you more. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Becerra. Ms. Savage.
Be what am I now, the 11th person to say welcome. But I'm really glad you're here, Mayor Davis. I'm really excited to work with you and to work with everyone here, move things forward. And we always have about 10 to 15 minutes of technical difficulties before every meeting. So just know that it is not uncommon. Marty, I just wanted to say thank you and maybe even call for a completely out of order round of applause, because it's been so great to work with you. And one thing that I love the most about Marty is her side creative project, which is I think called City Council the Musical. And if that ever gets published, Marty, I think we would all love, love, love to hear it. But thank you and best of luck to you. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Ms. Farmer.
Yeah, I will continue this echoing. I will just say thank you to Marty. A career of public service is not easy, and it probably has been extremely hard all these years, but thank you for your service. We really appreciate you. And congrats. And maybe there's a career in game processing for you in your future. And congrats to you, Mayor Davis. I'm really excited to serve with you, and it's been pretty exciting. Just everyone that I talk to in town is excited and wants to know what's going on. What do you think? And so there's a lot of excitement in Missoula, and that's great to see. So congrats, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the supportive, incredible comments. And I think we should take advantage of a round of applause for Marty Rabine right now. Oh my gosh, Mr. Carlino, my apologies. Your cohorts have your back here. I just want you to know that.
Thanks. I was just gonna second the round of applause for Marty too. So, but we just did it. But thanks so much, Marty, for everything and for keeping us going and teaching me everything that you've taught me. So I hope you have a fun retirement. And I'm glad that we got the round of applause in.
Right. Thanks for your understanding, Mr. Carlino. I appreciate that. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for the incredible welcome. It's an amazing group of individuals that come together to help serve the citizens of Missoula. And I knew that, but it is ever more present now being in this role. It's really incredible. With that, I'll go ahead and just mention that item number 14 on the agenda, which is miscellaneous communications, reports, and announcements. The administratively approved agreement report is included in the council agenda. So for your reference, please go ahead and take a look at that. And those are like it just sounds, administratively approved reports that don't necessarily come in front of council, but included in the agenda packet for your information. And then with that, I believe we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting early. Thank you so much, everybody. Phew. Thank you. Boy, I am so